African municipalities are heavily indebted. The lack of payment for services has affected state-owned companies like Eskom. Now, the power utilities' own debt has reached 450 billion rand. A big chunk of it is owed by municipalities. Well, the Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts is concerned that there have been no consequences for municipalities. Some of them have appeared in front of SCOPA, and its chairperson, Kulego Hlengwa, joins us from our Cape Town studios now. Mr. Hlengwa, thank you very much for making the time. So 12 municipalities flagged as problematic by the Auditor General. Which are these municipalities?
Well, Oli, what is clear from the Auditor General's audit reports for the 2017-18 financial year is that there are 48 municipalities that need intervention, and then there are 13 which have received disclaimed or adverse findings for 3 years consecutively or more. And so these are the municipalities that we prioritized. The other municipalities will be dealt with by the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. So our intervention as SCOPA comes in because we are concerned about the financial management, the fact that, of course, there are disclaimers, the instability in those municipalities, and we are following the reins and cents. And as has now become common cause, what we are doing as SCOPA is really saying, we are asking the question, what killed the patient? In our view, these municipalities are in the mortuary, and we need to take them out, put them in ICU to the general ward until they are discharged. So what we have embarked upon and set into motion is a process of actually adopting these municipalities. So there are municipalities from the Northern Cape, Limpopo, Northwest, and the Free State. The problems are far and varied, but what is very clear is that there is an absence of good governance practices. There's no consequence management. There is instability in leadership, particularly senior management. And all of this brought together has given us these problems. There's no record keeping which is satisfactory, and over-reliance on consultants. At Tabazimbi, for example, if I'm not mistaken, spent about 18.5 million rands on consultants, if it's not Mopani district. So the municipalities are literally outsourcing the preparation of their financial statements to consultants.
Point,
I think the ballpark figure from the AG.
Let me pick up on that very point of the heavy reliance on consultants. Do these people employed in these municipalities actually possess skills to run them effectively?
Well, some do, but there is a general, outlook not to listen, particularly to audit committees. There's no record keeping during the financial year, which means that by the time you come to the audit process, you've got a serious challenge. But what is of concern, Oli, is that whilst we're dealing with the issue of the capacity, skill, knowledge, and expertise, is that the consultants being brought in, they themselves are preparing financial statements which are not consistent with the reporting format. And so the annual financials are not up to standard. As I was saying, the ballpark figure which the collective municipalities of South Africa spent just on consultants just for the preparation of financial statements in the year under review is 907 million rands. So that tells you the extent of the problem. And so we are really looking at Salga, we're looking at COCTA. We really had a thorough discussion with COCTA about turning things around. But what is clear is that there is a general disregard for due process. I must also say that we are concerned about the manner in which the Section 139 interventions are being applied, because in instances where we feel that there should be intervention from COCTA, it hasn't happened. You look, and of course, when it has been applied, there are problems. Let me just briefly give you this example because I think it will drive home the point about the instability. In the Free State, there's Mafube municipality and Maslungane municipality. In Mafube, you have got a situation where the administrator is not coming to work. He's AWOL. And even when they appeared before us, was not there. This municipality has been under administration for now close to 2 years. And the mayor himself is saying, I don't mind administration. But when the person who's supposed to be administrating is not there, the problem. Secondly, Macedonia, which has been under administration as well for close to 2 years, we have a situation where the administrator was withdrawn and the Department of Cocta in the province then designated in the most strange of ways the HOD of Cocta and the DG of the province as the administrators. It's unprecedented. It's never happened. But what is of more concern is that the HOD has only been there once.
Mr. Tlengo, I'm sorry to cut in there. In the interest of time, I would like to ask you now to wear your hat as a senior member of the Inkatha Freedom Party. The scenes that the country saw last Sunday, which resulted in the deaths of a number of people. The Defence Minister telling us here on Monday that that particular gathering should not have been turned into a political rally. So I'd like you to respond to that question, whilst at the same time confirming for us if indeed the king of the Zulu nation, Gutu Zwelithini, is actually making his way to Gauteng.
Well, I think I've warned repeatedly, even to your producers on this platform, that when I come here, I would really do not like a situation where the interviews may find themselves conflated and abruptly changing of heads. But be that as it may, we had a debate on Tuesday, and Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi clearly explained the process which was followed in this regard. The Minister of Police was aware of the gathering that took place on Sunday. Secondly, it was never an IFP rally or a political function. Prince Buthelezi did indicate that he had gone there as an elder in South Africa concerned about what was going on. So therefore, there was no political basis. It was not an IFP sanctioned gathering. Thirdly, I'm not the spokesperson for His Majesty the King, and I think that the royal household is best placed to respond to that. But what is of concern to us is that we are seeing a situation where instead of fixing the problem, there's finger pointing. The IFP is not condoning the violence, but at the same time, we are saying government must take responsibility for the very real problems which prevail. Jabu Baloyi was killed because he stood up against the prevailing and proliferating reality of drug abuse in South Africa and the drug trade. And we have reached a point where we must admit that there are failures in border management. We are not saying that Africans should not be here. That would be the most absurd of things. But there should be proper documentation. We should ensure that there's functionality at home affairs. We've lost the war on crime. The police must admit to that. So I think Prince Buthelezi did the right thing, and we commend him for stepping up to the plate to go and quell the violence. We need to rein our people in. So anybody in any position of influence, in media included, where violence prevails, we need to stand up and call it out. But at the same time, our condemnation should not negate the responsibilities before us of adhering to the law and ensuring that our country is functional. And chief amongst those things is making sure that border management and the movement of people is done properly. So Sunday's gathering was never an IFP rally, and I challenge the minister to put proof on the table in that regard. It's nonsensical and it's reckless and irresponsible for her to want to push back on this matter and not take responsibility for her own shortcomings, which the Defence Force should actually be adhering to.
Mr. Hlengwa, I thank you very much for your time and allowing us to pose that final question to you. He is the chair of SCOPA in Parliament.